Now that's cool. Nothing gets better than some old World War II action. Today we got the M1 Garand. It's snowing, so let's take it inside, take this thing apart, and put it back together. Man, I just love that sound. So here we have it, the M1 Garand. Truly an amazing rifle. The amount of history behind this thing. This one I have here has a new stock and just new wood to it, which brings it a little bit more modern, but all of the internals, the trigger itself, the barrel, everything about this gun is 100% original except for the wood itself. So it's pretty cool and extremely humbling to see what these people were using back in World War II. This is a 1942 with all of the internals. Again, wood stock is new. But yeah, this is really cool. So it's important to be able to take these things apart the correct way and to be able to put them back together in case something does happen. There are a lot of replacement parts for these guns and different things you can get that even if something goes wrong with the weapon, you can replace it and continue to shoot it and continue to be part of the memory of World War II. So let's go ahead and take this thing apart. I'm just going to give you a step-by-step of how to take it apart. And we're not going to go over the grease points today. As you see, once we open up this gun, it's pretty much all covered in grease. That's how they did it back then, and that's how we continue to do it now is with red grease. So let's just get right into the teardown of this weapon. First thing you want to do is make sure that the bolt is in the forward position. To do so, you're going to push down on this piece here. While you're pulling back, push it down, and then you're going to let that go forward. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take out this trigger assembly. So this entire metal piece is going to come out of this gun. So if we get it up a little bit closer, you'll see this here is your safety, your trigger, and then this hole in the back here is actually how you tear this down. So what we're going to do is get something to put into that hole. Sometimes you can pull them off just by pushing towards the back of the gun. This one I cannot, it's a little bit tighter, but occasionally if you get the right one, you can just put pressure on the back of this and pull back and it'll disengage and the hub will come out. In this case, I do need to have a little bit of help. So what I use is just a small screwdriver, something that'll fit in through there. It's not going to damage this at all. I've done this many times before. And you're just going to put a little tension towards the back of the gun. So you're going to put that in and then pull straight back. And then you're going to hear that click. So once that clicks, you'll see that it opens up just by pulling down. It'll disengage until it's all the way up. Once it is in that position, go ahead and grab onto it and just slide it completely out of the wooden stock. And that's going to be your entire trigger assembly. It's pretty cool to see how they made things back in the day. But that's your entire trigger assembly. Now once that's out, this wooden stock is going to come completely off the gun. So to get the stock off, you just want to give a little up pressure on the back of the stock and it'll rise up out of the gun. And then your stock is completely removed. So that's all one piece. Go ahead and put that to the side as well. So the next thing you're going to want to take apart is this rod here that goes all the way down, connects to your spring, and then goes into your tube that goes all the way to the front of the barrel. So if you look closely, you can see that this rod here has almost a finger that goes around this pin right in here. So what you want to do is pull this rod back and disengage it from this pin. When it does so, you'll have tension on that spring, and then you'll be able to pull the entire thing out. So go ahead and put it on a flat surface. I'll do it sideways so you can see it a little better. Go ahead and pull down. It'll pull out of that finger, and then it'll lift right out. Once that's disengaged, you can go ahead and pull the entire spring out and set that aside as well. We're going to leave this in for now, and we're going to actually work on the internals of the gun. So these pieces in the middle here that all move, they all need to come out as well for a full disassembly. You're going to see a pin right here that holds everything in. Now, if you notice, this pin flat on this side and it's recessed on this side. So you want to make sure you push it from the right direction. So go ahead and put some pressure on that. It does not take much. And then it'll come out. Just like so. Go ahead and put that pin to the side. And remember which way you pulled it out from. So now once that's done, this entire assembly here will come out in one chunk. It is all different parts, which we'll take apart here. You have 3 different parts and pieces that come out once you remove that pin. So all 3 of those will come out. If they don't come out together, they're fairly simple to pull out. You just jiggle them around and they will come out. So once all those are apart, put them to the side. And then the next thing you want to remove is the assist here. So this is what your clip goes into, and it assists using that spring to push the bullets into the chamber and into the bolt. So go ahead and lift that straight out while the gun is upside down, and it'll lift right out. Now if we flip the gun over, you're going to notice this rod here, and it's attached to the bolt. So at this point, we want to get that rod and bolt out of the weapon. If you look in this channel here, you're going to see this cut out right here. So that's what you're going to be aiming for. You're going to move this slide back until it lines up with that. Once it does, you'll be able to lift up on that rod, and it'll actually lift away from the slide. I did it too much trying to show you, but it comes right out. Again, nothing changed from World War II to our modern weapons. Nothing should be difficult to move or take off of a gun. When you do that, you'll just slide it to the back after moving it to the upwards position, and that will come out as well. Last thing we need to worry about now is that bolt, which is just sliding around in there. Go ahead and move it so you're looking at the top of the weapon, and once you push it through, you'll be able to maneuver it in just a way that it comes out towards the ejection port, and it'll just come right out. There's no hard presses or tricks to getting that out. Once you have that done, that's all there is. The M1 Garand was an extremely simple gun to take apart and put back together. There's all the pieces for it and anything you would need to swap out if you're going to be fixing a part, replacing a part, or if you just want to give it a good cleaning. So now we're going to want to put the bolt back into the gun. I'm going to do my best to show you here, but you should be able to see a channel right along there. Now that channel is where your bolt is going to be on an angle. It's going to be pointed up a little bit, and it's actually going to round and fall into this channel. Now when that does that, it's going to set into these grooves on either side, and it'll naturally be set into place. So I'll try to show you the best I can. You want your bolt to be facing like this. So you want it to be smooth on the top, and you want this corner here to go down through that channel. So when you're looking at your bolt, you want to find this piece on the back side of the bolt. You'll see that right there. Now that piece is going to want to ride on that channel that I showed you before. So you're going to want to put this in at a little bit of an angle, make sure it's twisted open a little bit, and then once it's over that angle, you can just drop this into place. Switch hands here. And once it's in that channel, everything slides and falls directly into place. So we'll do that again for you. Find that channel here. Find that ear on this side. It'll be at a little bit of an angle. Slide it up and over that ear, and then everything just drops and slides into place. So everything is very zero effort. When you try to pull it forward, it'll pull forward, lock into place, and everything is completely operational. You know that that's in the right setting there. Once that's in, we got to put that slide on again. So go ahead and flip the weapon around. Move your bolt into the rear position. Go ahead and grab that. I like to make sure that this is at the up position to the gun. It's easier to put in for me, and then I can manipulate it to go around to have it find that groove. So go ahead and slide it in. There's a channel at the front that it will fall into. Once it falls into that channel, go ahead and flip it around to the side of the gun. And then take this, pull it over the top, pull it towards the back until it locks into place with your bolt. And once it does, it will operate the bolt, and you'll know that everything is in place. Sliding nice and smooth. It fell right into the place. There was no forcing. There was no bending of any metal. There's no locking up. So we know that that's correct as well. For this next step, you want to make sure that your bolt is closed. We'll go ahead and flip it over. And the next thing that we're going to want to put in is the assist. So we're going to want to put in the bullet assist next. When you drop this in, you'll see a fin on one side, and then the other side will be completely flat. Now remember, you're assembling this gun upside down. So you want that fin to be down towards the bolt. When you're holding this, there's only one way that it can go. You see your notches on either side of the receiver there, and you see the ears on the left and right of this piece here. Go ahead and line those up, drop it into place, and it falls right where it should be. So the next thing you're going to want to put in is this piece here. Now you'll notice that hole at the bottom here, that's where your pin is going to be going through. And you'll also notice this flat piece on top, which is also going to be important. When you put this on, you want to make sure that it is in this position on the weapon. So I'll do this sideways so you can see it. So when you put this onto the gun, you want this to slide in. So it's lined up with those holes, and it insets into these notches on either side. So that's how that piece should look once it's properly installed. Everything is flush, everything is pushed into where it's supposed to be, and that pin is going to hold everything together. Now with that in, we can go to the next step, which is going to be this piece here. Now this piece holds that rod that controls the spring. So when you put this in, again, you kind of have your cheat hole at the bottom. You know where that's going to go in towards your pin. And this top part here is going to go in and connect to your assist for the bullet. So I'll put it on an angle so you can see it a little better. So I'm going to take my assist and move it up a little bit so I can make sure that it can get in there. Now, I do want to show you one thing before we move on. I'm going to take this off just for educational purposes here. On this part of the installation, this is your riser that is already installed. If you look on this end of it, you can see that notch on either side. That is where this piece is going to go into. So you see your hole at the bottom where the pin is going to go in, and then your top two notches there, they are going to go directly into that piece. Okay? So when they're in there, it's going to assist with the up and down, and it's going to help everything move. So those need to be in this riser here. So when I talk about that, now you have a little bit of a visual of what I'm doing. So again, let's flip it on the side so you can see it. Go ahead and move that up, but not so far that it falls out of the gun. And then you're going to take this, put it at an angle through that slit, and find that hole that I was talking about before, and it'll slide right in. Once it's in there, you can see that it moves your assist just nicely. And then you're going to want to place this down where it's supposed to be. And those holes should all line up for your pin. And now on to the next step is going to be this piece here, which has one very long hook on the one side. Now, that long hook, I'm going to take everything apart. If you look in the gun, you'll be able to see this piece right down here. That's where that hook needs to go. So when you put your hook in, well, when you put this piece in, this hook here needs to make sure that it's under that piece and forms tension underneath it. So when that piece is in correctly and it's under it, you should be able to move it up and down and there will be spring tension. If that's on top of it, your gun will not operate correctly. The pin will still go in. So you need to make sure that that hook or that finger is right underneath that release there. So with everything back together here, we'll go ahead and put that in, and you're just going to want to go to either side of that black piece. There we go. It's much easier to see if you're looking at it correctly, but you can put it underneath that piece there, and if it's incorrectly, you will have that spring action to it. Everything lines up. Everything is where it's supposed to be. So now we're ready to put that pin in. When you put the pin in, remember the way you had it in before. Go ahead and shove it through. Push it through until it's snug. And then you're good to go on the pin as well. The next part that you want to put in is going to be your spring and this rod here. So go ahead and slide your spring into that tube. And then you want to attach these fingers here once again to those right there. You want to make sure that you have them connected, and then it's going to hold on to that so it can operate everything it's supposed to. So if you want to pull it out a little bit, you can, and get everything attached. It's going to move freely, so it's going to be difficult to do with the spring tension. So however is easier for you. Some people use pliers for this. There we go. Which I may need to do since my hands are greasy now. You also want to make sure this hook is in this position. So if you install it this way, it's not going to work correctly. You want to make sure that this rounded part here is down, and it's going to slide into these fingers here as well. So everything will fit just nicely. You have to put this down for this part. Go ahead and hold up a little tension until everything slides into place. So now that's there. You have nice tension. Everything's where it's supposed to be. The operation, you got really good tension. Your bolt's moving the way it's supposed to. So let's go ahead and put that stock back on. Putting the rest on is just as easy as it was to take apart. Go ahead and flip your stock upside down. You'll see that your stock does have a little lip there that's going to go into this metal piece here. So go ahead and put it in at a downward angle. Press it down in. Your trigger assembly. You want this flat, smooth part to be towards the front and your trigger towards the back, where you're going to be pulling the trigger, obviously, once it's all put together. So just square it up with the wood. There's no tricks to it. Everything falls in. Push it down into place. Nothing should be forced. If you are at this point and your trigger assembly doesn't go in as smoothly as it's supposed to, do not hit it with a hammer. Do not try to contort it in any way. Take it back apart, make sure everything's in the way it's supposed to be, and make sure everything falls into place. Now, if you do have an older gun that has the original wood on it, it may be a little bit more warped than mine is, so you may need a little pressure, but you should never add excessive force. Go ahead and squeeze this down. It's locking everything in place, so it is going to have a little bit of tension, and squeeze it down until it locks into place. And at that point, you have a fully operational M1 Garand. I figured since we're here, I'll go ahead and show you how to operate and use the bayonet. Well, we have a bayonet here, which is also from World War II, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to install it and how to use it. If you have a bayonet, there is a button on one side, on the lower side of the bayonet. You press the button and your sheath will come off. Go ahead and pull it, and it will expose your bayonet. You'll notice on the bayonet, on the back side of the handle, that you have a hole in the bayonet, and you also have this slot right here. That slot is operated by that same trigger that is used to take the sheath off of the bayonet. On your M1 Garand or 1903, you will see this lug. That is where the handle is going to snap into. Take your bayonet with the flat side toward the barrel, slide it down onto that lug, make sure it goes over the barrel, and the installation is done. Now you do have a bayonet which is firmly affixed to the weapon of your choice. Firm, not going anywhere. Take it apart, grab the gun, grab your bayonet and depress that trigger, and it will slide right off of the weapon. Put it back in your sheath. Gun or sheath, sheath or gun. You'll never lose your bayonet. And that is the full disassembly, reassembly of the M1 Garand. So there you have it. How to take apart, tear down, and put back together this beautiful M1 Garand. It's absolutely amazing to have the opportunity to hold history like this and to own something like this. And I think it's just as important to know how to take it apart, put it back together, and make sure you can perform maintenance on it if needed, replace any parts that may be needed to keep this thing functioning as much as possible and as good as it functioned in that World War. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate everybody. As always, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one.